disc coffee pulper.
And this is Ngororero station in a district called Ngororero, which is a little bit west and north in Rwanda. It's just so green here. It's beautiful. It's kind of interesting to go to a station and look around at what they're really doing just around the coffee station. And I can see some coffee up there, but what you see is corn, beans, I think some onions. Not sure if that's beans too. Banana or false banana. You have a lot of cassava. So coffee areas aren't just about coffee. And in a lot of ways, coffee is just part of this sort of quilt work of agriculture that happens, that sort of is part of, you know, the formula that farmers need to subsist. And coffee is the cash part of that formula. Hello. So this station is nice. They're not working right now because the coffee hasn't come in for the day. I swear it looks like they just painted everything. And these are neat traditional pulpers. They receive the coffee up there, comes through here, and into a channel into these fermentation tanks, and then they do a second fermentation afterwards in the lower set of tanks. Call this a very traditional fermentation process for East Africa. And down there are the beds. Go take a look at the coffee down there. Everybody just went home for the day. This is the drying beds at Ngororero. Very close to another district we buy from. It's right next door, which is Karangi. And what's really unique here is they've invested in all metal beds. It may not look like much, but it's actually really significant. The first thing is that wooden beds need replacing every 3-5 years. But another thing is Rwanda does not have a lot of trees. And the amount of wood they use to build new beds, basically continuously, because there's ones always rotting, is pretty significant. So metal has gotten really expensive. This is kind of a really big investment, actually, to build all these metal beds. But environmentally and financially, it should pay off. And it's also, one thing you notice on beds is that a lot of them will sag down. And the coffee, when you put it on there and the weight, it's really thick in parts, and those don't dry evenly. As you can imagine, they just, the parts that sag get really deep, and you get really uneven processing as a result. So these beds are going to do a better job in supporting the coffee. You can see in these, they're very taut, and so not a lot to see because, as you can see, the coffee's all covered up for the night. They don't want any dew from the night to land on the coffee and re-wet it. They handle coffee very well here. One of the big issues globally is that a lot of the materials to build a station and maintain it have gone way up in price. So in other countries, there's not a lot of fertilizer use here, but in other countries, fertilizers have just tripled in price. But materials like metal, but even the plastics and stuff that they use have gone way up. And it's making it really hard for farmers and station operators. One thing that's kind of cool is to use, materials like, I know this is silly, but this plastic is really thick and can last, I've been told, up to 10 years in use. So not a renewable material, but if you can make it last that long, you're not throwing it out and replacing it all the time. These kind of decisions really indicate a level of commitment to running a good washing station for the long term rather than just kind of a short-term gain. I really wish you could see this bird right here. They have these beautiful long tails. Let me see. Here's a beautiful bird. Very common here around the washing stations. Hence the name washing station bird. That's not really the name, I just gave it that name. But yeah, this is in Ngororero district and it's really gorgeous. You can see here something kind of you don't see everywhere in Burundi, which is planted trees. Pretty much any forest here is going to be planted, and they're usually land owned by the government and maintained and protected.